Hello, everyone. Hello. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Someone sounds like they have an early morning party taking place. I hope that's a TTT party that's going on. If you're on the phone, especially if you're on the speaker line, and there's a lot of noise in the background where you are calling from, please go ahead and introduce yourself, but mute out, because we can hear all the distraction that's in the background. If you can hear me and you're on the call, if you're in like a Starbucks or something like that, a public place, we can hear all the distractions in the background. We're going to need you to mute out. Please mute out. See? Well, good morning, family. How is everyone doing? I hope you can hear me past the distractions. This is a team effort lifestyle call where you would dial in, you would hear things that will move you from fact to faith to action. It is a overcast day here on the East Coast. I'm sure it's beautiful where you're calling in from. But if you can hear me, we're going to try to do this. Go right ahead, call out your name, and let us know where you're calling in from.
DC in the house. DC in the house.
Hey, DC, welcome to the call, sir.
Thank you.
Keep it coming, San Ramon with us this morning. Keep it coming, whoever's with us, go ahead and shout your name out. We can hear you.
Good morning, Pastor D. Paul Jackson from Mount Heights, Maryland. Anxiously awaiting Agent 008. Coach me.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Paul Jackson, for being here this morning, sir. Good to hear you.
Yes, good to be here.
Keep it coming, Sam. Who's with us this morning? I know there's distraction in the background, but shout past it. Your voice is louder than that. Where you calling in from?
Jesse, Pastor D. Not sure if you heard me on that.
Can you say it again, Jeff?
Not sure if you heard me on that.
No, I did not. Hi, Jeff. Thanks for coming back with that.
Oh, well, thank you. And good morning to the rest of the team family out there.
That's right. Let the winner in you shout through. Welcome to the call, Jeff. Come on, who else going to do like Jeff? Who else is the winner? Go ahead, shout your name out.
Pick a spot. We're going to the top. You know who this is.
Ooh. That be none other than Mr. Lloyd Gibson. How are you, sir?
Oh, you know what Mr. Razzle Dazzle said? I'm on fire, and people will come and watch me burn. I just did the Reunite treat this weekend, and it was awesome.
Wow. Well, Mr. Gibson, I enjoyed listening to the call last night.
Oh, thank you.
I heard you. You were cutting up.
Oh.
Well, Sam,
the conference is now in presentation mode. Your line is muted.
The call in and they got all the noise in the background. Don't want to mute out. Just being rebellious, right? Come on, family. Let's do better than that. When you dial in, you're in a public facility. If your call is not muted out, we can hear all the distractions in the background. So let's be mindful and just mute out so we're not distracted. We can hear everyone dialing in with their excitement on Monday morning. It is Monday morning indeed. And we always get our week started off powerful with some wonderful tools. But before then, we always like to acknowledge all the great things that happened over the weekend. And you got to think about it. Somebody's life was changed over the weekend. You know that, family? Every time you offer someone the vitamin sprays, you're offering to change their life. That's just what it just continues to come back. We have something that just keeps giving. We have a gift that just keeps giving. So as we give this gift of vitamin supplements to one person, guess what happens? They come back with a testimony, and their testimony is a gift to another, and then they offer the spray to another, and it's like the gift just continues to go on and on. So we have something that is ongoing, something that truly is really changing people's lives. And if you look off to the media, network, and the internet and social media, you hear the majority of the population are really focused on getting healthy. People really want to be healthy. Doctors and researchers and nutritionists, everyone is really putting information out there on what needs to be done to overcome the downfall of how health has gone over the last several years. And vitamin supplements is at the top of the line. You have got to supplement. You got to supplement, but you still got to remember to eat better as well. And so you can't continue to feed your body the things that are filled with toxins and tear you apart. Yes, the vitamin supplements, they supplement, they help. They make a huge difference. They detoxify the body. They do clean that mess out. But you got to have a conscious mind also that if you're going to do good all the way around. And as we share the vitamin D power, we're getting stories back of people who are dealing with asthma, how it's under control, folks that had allergies, no longer dealing with allergies, diabetes is in control. I see the A1C levels are within normal range. People with arthritis, aches, and pain, are doing a lot better since taking the vitamin D. Those that are taking the vitamin B boost, and I don't know if you saw that picture that I put, the video I put on Tenacious Generation Facebook page, but there was this one gentleman, oh my God, it was so scary to watch. He had 24 cans of Red Bull. I think he drank 24 cans of Red Bull in a day. And it was like his heart was trying to just pump out of his chest. It was the scariest thing in the world to watch. Now, why was he drinking 24 cans of Red Bull? Because he wanted energy. He just wanted energy. But my God, he almost killed himself doing that. So just think of the energy people are praying for. They're praying, God, give me the energy to finish this day. Give me the energy to do this project. Give me the energy just to get up. And our B Boost does that. It gives you that natural energy. It helps with high blood pressure. It helps with those that are depressed and that have mood swings. The B Boost help with that. They treat teenage depression with B12. And we have it in a spray. So when you're sharing that, just look at the line that you're changing. The Super 10 with the aloe vera gel in it, the goji berry, the maca berry, the 5-HTP, all those wonderful ingredients that helps to detoxify your body, that gives you natural, comfortable feeling during the day of happiness and beautiful sleep at night. Just cleaning those toxins out of your body that you're exposed to every day from being around computers, from being out in the polluted air, from holding cell phones near your face all day long, from shaking people's hands, from turning doorknobs, all those toxins, and they get in your body one or the other, and you have the Super 10 to help us clean it out. And it's cell energy that works at a cellular level, the master protector of the body that protects the body. It goes to each individual cell and kicks out what's not supposed to be there. And of course, our Slim by 10, over billions and billions of dollars spent every year for obesity. And people are going on diets and they're losing weight, they're putting it back. But we have not only a spray that will help you get to the weight that you desire, but then we have the Trim by 10, a fiber-based drink that helps you to maintain and manage that weight. And it also helps with your digestive system. And that, my God, I don't know how important realize that is, but to have a healthy digestive system is really all about having a healthy you. So what we have, family, is a good thing. You're in the right place at the right time. You are changing people's lives. We just need to make sure we're doing it more and more. Whatever we did last week, we want to double it and do it this week, and then triple that, and just continue on until 10 becomes that number one household product that we know it's going to be. So, it's Monday morning. My business partner's out there working on some things, Pastor Del Wafer, and I'm glad that we have our coach with us this morning. Every Monday morning brings us some wonderful tools, as I continue to say, to add to our toolbox and to apply them, not to just listen and say, wow, Nikisha blew it out the ball field. But when you take these wonderful things that she coaches us on and you apply them, families, they work. They work. So let's welcome to the call, once again, our coach, Nikisha Bond. Nikisha, are you there?
Oh, yes, I am. Good morning, Pastor Denise. Good morning, Jen family. How you doing?
I'm doing great, lady. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. And Pastor Denise, when you were talking, it's so interesting. I was looking through some of my notes this morning, and I came across these statistics from the Mayo Clinic and the CDC. So if you don't mind, I just want to read a little bit of that because I think it's kind of important to what you were saying about why these sprays are so important, because there really is an epidemic going on in our healthcare. Because Americans currently spend $2.4 trillion, that's a T, per year on healthcare. I know. That's about $4,200 per person. And our nearest competitor would be Switzerland, and they only spend about $2,800 per person. And even though we spend far more than anyone else, we don't even have the best health. In fact, according to the World Health Organization, the U.S. ranks 37th in overall health out of 37 industrial countries. So we're the very last of all the industrial countries. So we spend the most, but we fare the worst. And then another one is, when you were talking about pills and people just really hurting, and you can see people hurting every time you see them posting. I went to the doctor for this. I went to the doctor for that. They gave me this. They gave me that. Over the last decade, the percentage of Americans who took at least one prescription drug in the past month increased by 10%. But here are the ones that's really scary. The use of multiple prescription drugs increased by 20%, and the use of 5 or more increased by 70%. By 2007, 2008, one half of America, so this is a little while ago, this is about 8 years ago or so, Americans used at least 1 or more prescription drugs, and 1 out of 10 used 5 or more. And out of every 5 children, at least 1 or more prescription drugs compared to 9 or 10, Americans use at least 1 out of every 5 children used at least 1 or more prescription drugs compared with 9 out of 10 adults age 60 and over. Women are more likely to use prescription drugs than men, and those who are without a regular place for health care, health insurance, or prescription drug benefits were less likely to have used prescription medication compared with their counterparts. So that means that, this statistic was taken back in 2007, 2008. This is from the CDC. And now we have the Affordable Health Care Act. So now people who weren't insured before, were not taking prescription drugs, are insured now and probably now taking even more prescription drugs. So, what you were talking about is people hurting, and our mission to really go out there and reach people. Because when you are able to give the body the high-quality ingredients that it needs, it can really heal itself. And I just thought that's startling. Those statistics are so startling. And that's a great conversation opener for people who you hear are hurting, because a lot of people don't realize. I mean, we have to think about it. And this is Nikisha. So that was CDC and the Mayo Clinic. And this is Nikisha Bond's personal opinion. The healthcare industry it's about making profits, and you need to have repeat customers, right? So there's a lot of incentive for people to continue to stay on this medication. Now, I'm not saying that doctors do this on purpose. It's actually kind of the way they taught. And I'm sure, Dr. Anita Poole can give us a little bit more information on that. But it's not always the best thing to go to the doctors. This, again, Nikisha Bond's personal opinion. And listening to everything that they have to say. We really have to listen to our bodies. I learned so much about these sprays and about my body and about good health just by joining this company. So, a lot of people think, you're just selling sprays. No, you're actually selling knowledge. You're educating people. That's really what our job is. Our mission is to go out there and educate people, because no one ever told me about vitamin D. And Pastor Denise, I saw that video. I had to turn it off. It was frightening watching that man's heart beat out of his chest. That was frightening. I mean, you could just see him struggling to hold on to his life right there. Did you see that? You saw the devil trying to take his spirit, and he's just sitting there trying to hold on to it. It was frightening. And that's probably happening every day, ladies and gentlemen. And that's why we have to be on a mission to go out there and share these statistics, share these facts, share those kind of videos, because people need to know. I know I see people picking up Monsters every time I go, to 7-Eleven and get some water or something like that. I see people grabbing tons of those things. So we just have to go out there and educate. I just wanted to put that out there, Pastor Denise. Okay. Woo, okay, so let's talk about something a little bit more on a positive note. Let's talk about the laws of attraction. So I'm sure probably a lot of you, what a nice little segue. I couldn't think of a nice little segue, but it just highlights that we do have a mission. And so the law of attraction. So a lot of people, I'm sure you guys have probably either seen the movie The Secret or read the book The Secret, or there's probably a lot of other fantastic books out there about the laws of attraction. It basically means like attracts like. And so it means that positive intentions and positive thoughts bring about positive things in your life. And that means that negative things and negative thoughts bring out negative results in your life. Now, nobody can really prove this exists, but that's kind of like gravity. What goes up, goes down. It's the same thing, this law of sowing and reaping. These are just spiritual laws that have been around since the foundations of the earth. And a lot of people don't realize that it's there. And so one thing I find really, really interesting when you're telling people about the laws of attraction is how people kind of think in their mind. For example, I had a friend of mine, she's going after a new job, and she's like, oh, I really hope I'm going to get this job, but I don't know, I'm going to see. And I said, girl, you better plan on getting that job. Is that your job? Claim that job. Claim it with your words. Claim it with your actions. Get your resignation letter together. And it made her feel really uncomfortable because her natural instinct was kind of like that defense mechanism. I'll expect something bad. That way I won't be disappointed. She wanted to say, well, I'm not going to care too much about whether I get this job. That way if I don't get it, I won't be disappointed. But then why spending your life thinking about the worst case scenario? I mean, because only two things can happen. One, either whatever it is that's the worst case scenario will happen and you worrying about it isn't going to do anything to avoid it. And number two, it doesn't happen and you're worried for nothing. So really, there's absolutely no point in thinking about something bad happen. Instead, you should fill your life with positive intentions. You should really think about the things that you want, visualize it. So she started claiming that job with everything that she had. She wrote a resignation letter. She started cleaning out her desk. And every time she started feeling a little disappointed, she just took one more step in that positive intention, claiming it with her words, claiming it with her actions. And now she's on her final interview. She's going to have her offer letter later this week. So, she could have gone in there saying, well, I hope. But hope really, that's not enough. You have to put everything you are behind that same feeling. You have to feel it before it's there. You have to see it before it's there. That's how the foundations of this world were created. God didn't just come in and say, okay, well, let's see what happened. We're going to make a little tree over here. No, he spoke and everything came into existence. So I wanted to do one on words, but I thought the law of attraction would be good too. So attracting things in your life won't happen if you worrying about things won't make a difference in it. You have to positively intend for things to happen. That's the power of attraction, is really going out there with your thoughts, with your words, with your actions, all aligned towards that one goal that you really, really want, that you've asked for, that you're believing for, and believe that you've already received. So let's talk about something, how we can use the law of attraction. What do we need to do? How do we get this into action? Okay, I'm going to give you 7 different things, and I don't have too much time because I spent a little time on the other things, but that's okay. I think everybody needed that today. Okay, so you guys are probably pretty familiar. Like attracts like. So what do we need to do? First, we need to relax our mind. You want to spend some time visualizing, meditating, praying, whatever you want to call it, but spend some time relaxing. With all the different pings and zings and ding, ding, dings going on with our phones, we are always busy. We're always multitasking. People are always calling for our attention. We rarely get time to really just sit down and think and meditate. I'll give you another example. I was mentoring a young lady, and I said, hey, what do you want to do with your life? And as soon as I asked her that question, fear just seized her up. She's like, I've never really thought about that. She got so busy living life and being a mom and just working and, working, and just living life that she wasn't really living life. She realized when she really thought about it, all she did was sit around and listen to her mom's problems, her children's problems, going to work and their problems, coming home and going to sleep at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. That's not living. So I told her, you need to spend some time meditating, really thinking about the things that you want, visualizing those things. And you know what? When we're talking to our team, when we're talking to new people, that really scares them. Now, you guys, that doesn't scare you because you live in that world of positive thinking. You live in that world of speaking the things that be not as though they were. You live in that world. So for you, it might seem commonplace. But when you're going out there and you're talking to people and you're asking them about their dreams, you'd be surprised how many people have just absolutely, completely stopped dreaming. And when you ask them, hey, what do you want? What do you want in your life? If you could do anything, what would it be? A fear, instead of an excitement about what their future could be, a fear seizes them of, well, what if it never happens? And I don't want to start dreaming about something that's never going to happen. And they get all sorts of irrational fears that you kind of have to walk them through. So the first part is just go ahead and think about it. Don't do anything other than just really think about it. Meditate on it. So get your mind relaxed into a nice space. Get into some quiet space so you can just kind of reflect from within and really start to see, what are my skills? What would I love to do if I could get paid to do it? Those are the things that we can think about when we meditate. Number 2, be sure what you want and don't doubt yourself. Set a vision for your life. Do you see yourself as prosperous, successful? And, here's another thing. If your current reality is bad, don't think a lot about it. Most people pay attention to the reality that they have instead of focusing on the things that they want. And that's really what keeps people stuck in the same place that they were, is that they're double-minded They're not sure what they want. They never focus on anything. So they never get anything that they want because their mind is so jumbled. You know, I hear a lot of people when they are focusing, they're only focusing on how sick they are, how broke they are, how sad they are, how depressed they are. And then they're surprised that that's all their life is about being sad, broke, depressed. And, you know, it's not easy because if it was easy, we would all be skinny, rich, and happy. If it was easy to go after your goals, everybody would have everything that they want. It's hard. And that's what separates you from everybody else. And so you kind of have a mandate to go out there and share this whole changing life experience. Share that God wants more for you than just going to work every day, hating going to work and being scared that you're going to get fired at the same time. And so you always have to make sure that you have a vision of what you want and don't doubt yourself. So many people think that they want things, but when you really ask them, they don't know. And it's really surprising. I told you guys that statistic. Only 3% of the population even writes their goals down. And probably only 3% of the people on this call write their goals down, even though I say it every single week. Even though Pastor Denise, Pastor Dale, and all the other great leaders on here say it all the time. Did you really write them down? Do you have them in front of you? How often do you review them? You know, we have to really get serious about this vision for our lives. Because I'll tell you something, there's a lot of times where we think that we know stuff, and that, unfortunately, sometimes is our downfall, because we can think that we know something, but not actually act on it, and to realize that we're not seeing the results of what we know. And so, again, you know, we always think that knowledge is power, but knowledge is only power when you put it to action. So really sit down and think about the vision for your life. In fact, if you're listening to this call and you don't have your goals down, I want you to write down your top 3 things that you want to accomplish in the next 6 months. Write them on an index card and review them every single day. Read them out loud. And then start to feel what it would be like. Start to see yourself in that picture. So don't listen to the rest of the things. If you don't have your goals, this is what you need to do. You need to turn me off, and you need to go and write down your goals. Because everything else I'm going to say won't apply to you if you don't have your goals, if you don't have your visions. I'm just saying that because I'm running out of time, so we've got to keep moving. Okay, number 3, you want to ask for it. You know, create a picture in your mind and ask for it. Believe God. You know, I am a big believer that God has already done these things from the foundation of the world. He knew that we were going to be on this call, having this phone call. He knew that somebody was going to hear something that was going to take them to faith, to action. And all you have to do is ask for it. Ask for the things that you want. So many people in this life, it's kind of, and I always wonder, because you know the Bible says that asking you and you will see, but you know God has already done it for you. And I was wondering, like, why does it have to be like that? Well, it's the same thing I was thinking about with my kids. So, for example, we'll go and we'll buy a treat, and I'll put it in the cabinet. Now, you can't just go in my cabinet and grab that treat. You have to ask me for it. Of course, I'm going to give it to you, but you got to ask first. I think it's just a polite thing to do. Either way, just go ahead and ask for the things that you want. And then, like we already said, number 4, write it down. I'm a big believer in vision boards because we see in pictures. And so sometimes when you write your goals down, it doesn't move you as much as maybe putting a picture of yourself with your dream car and, you know, cutting out a little picture of your face and sticking your face inside that car and then start to see yourself driving that car around or putting yourself in that house laying out by the pool with your sexy cutout body of Beyonce. It doesn't matter. We're not judging you. Put your little face on there and it doesn't matter because our mind sees things in pictures. When someone says, they tell you about something, somebody says, oh, yeah, I see that. Why do we say I see that? Because that's what our mind, it's looking for pictures, which is why, again, I know I'm going all over the place, but I hope you guys can follow. I'm super excited this morning. That's why. That's like when you're watching TV. That's why sometimes you have to kind of unplug from the television. Because even though maybe you're not really watching it or really thinking about it, all those images are getting stuck into your mind. I'm a big fan, too, of when people say, oh, I want you to see this crazy thing I saw on Facebook. That's why Pastor Vince had to turn off that video. I have to be careful all the things that I get in my mind. And watching his heart beat out of his chest freaked me out. I had to go and put some new images in my mind. And so that's why we have to make sure that we have a vision board, something that you can see so that you can see a picture. When you're closing your eyes and you're spending time meditating, you see what it is that you're trying to have come to pass. And you have to hold on to it until it comes true. Now, here is where the power starts. Okay, so we have relaxed our mind and meditated. We're getting sure about what we want. We're not being double-minded. We are asking for the things that we want. We are writing it down. We are getting a vision for it. Now, here's the one I think is where people fail. Feel it. People have a really hard time sometimes of feeling something that they don't see because we get so used to living in the natural, walking in the natural. You know, we are a spirit and we live in a body, but we get so used to the flesh that we don't really know how to feel something that's not there. But this is really where it just kind of turns it on. you must act, speak, and think that you are receiving it right now. And this is the most important step because this is where it starts working. When you start acting like it, when you start feeling it, when it starts to be real to you, when you can close your eyes and being on that stage is just like as if you were right there. What would you wear? How would you move? What's it going to smell like? Where are you going to stand? Where are you going to sit? Are you going to sit on the edge so it's easy for you to walk up and grab your key? What are you going to do when you're done? Are you going to post it on the wall? Are you going to put it in the garage? Really just start to get into the real details of it and just feel yourself. How would you feel? And sometimes you go back and find events in your life that made you really, really excited or really, really happy and grab those feelings and bring them into the present. This is really what gets the law of attraction working. When you start to feel it, when it becomes so real that when it happens, you're almost like, oh my goodness, when you wake up and you're done visualizing, you're like, oh, I'm surprised it's not here. That's how real it has to be for you. And that's when you're really going to turn on the power of your dreams. That's when you're really going to see a change in your atmosphere. Let me just take a little pause here before we get to the last two that are really, really important. Is that I didn't realize this when I first started doing training. I always thought that the hows were what changed behavior. But it's never the hows that change behaviors. Because I know how to do a lot of things, to be honest with you. I can do so many things. I know how to do a lot of things. But there's a lot of things that I don't do. And so how do you bridge that gap? Why is it that there's some things I know how to do and I do them and it's great, and there's some things I know how to do and I don't do them and I don't know why, because I want to do those things. We get stuck in that place, and I think this is really the key, is being able to see yourself doing it, being able to visualize it. And that's why my trainings have turned to more of the intellectual part. I have another great story. I've been mentoring this young girl, and she just had a really hard life. Her mom was on drugs. Her dad was in jail. She grew up thinking that, this was all she was ever going to be, broke, busted, and disgusted. That's all her life was. And, when I took the time to impart some wisdom on her, to teach her some of these principles, she finally started going back to get her GED. Now, she didn't know that she was going to pass. She had thought about taking the test many, many times, never did it. She signed up for school. She finally got in there. It was finally time for her to take her practice test. And it was so amazing hearing her tell the story. And she just did all the things that we have been learning about. She said, before I got in there, I relaxed. I spoke what I wanted to happen. She's like, there was a time that I started looking at those questions, and it looked like Sanskrit. I couldn't even read it. I didn't even understand what it was saying. So I just relaxed. I prayed. I asked for God to help me. I went into the bathroom. I did my power poses. I talked to myself in the mirror, and she was supposed to get 150. She got 162 on her test. And so when I stopped teaching people how to succeed and started teaching them that they have to get their mind in a place where they can receive all of this kind of success, where you're thinking positively, where you're saying things positive, where everything is lining up towards your goal, that's when I started to see changes in people's lives. So anyways, that's why if somebody ever gets on this phone, it's like, how come she just doesn't tell me what I'm supposed to do? I could get on this phone and I could tell you what you're supposed to do in about 3 or 4 sentences. But you know what? If your mind isn't there, you won't do any of it. And it won't matter what I say, and it won't matter how I say it. Because if your mind isn't in a place where you can receive that, where you visualize that, going up and talking to people is scary if you've never done it before. If you don't get your mind in a place where it's a mission, I got to go out there and change the world. I have to show people that there's another way, a better way where they can have better health and they can have success. When your mind gets into that state, you'll go out and talk to people. As long as your mind is in a state where I don't want to talk to anybody, is there a way I can do this business without talking to anybody? Is there a way that I can avoid having to talk to my friends and family about this? When that's in your mindset, it doesn't matter what I say. You'll never go out and do it because it's all in the mind. Okay, so number 6. I'm sorry, I just had to say that. It struck me right now. Anyways, number 6, show gratitude. Be grateful for what you have. A lot of times that we can get so wrapped up in the future that we can forget how many good things God has done for us today. And so I encourage everyone today to really be thankful for what you have. Be thankful for the small things. If you're looking at your life and you're saying, I don't really have very much, be glad you have a phone connection that you could get on the phone and listen to the call. Be glad you have a car to drive in. Be glad you put gas in your car. Be glad you have a house to live in. You have a bed to sleep in. Thank God that you have children and a husband or a wife. Be thankful for everything that you have in your life, because when you're thankful for the things that you have, it opens you up to receive more. I know that when my kids are thankful, I always want to give them more because I just appreciate them being appreciative of the things that I give. And that's the same way that God is to us. So we have to be grateful. And gratitude really just opens the door for us to receive more. If you're ungrateful, you're not going to receive as much as you would be if you would just be grateful for what you already have and still be expecting for the things that are happening in the future. And then lastly, trust God. this is, all of these things have been done from the foundation of the world. I really believe that Mel and Amy were destined to do a business like this that really was going to come along and revolutionize in the nutritional industry. And we have to go out there and be carriers of that message. And we have to trust that all of these things have been set forth and that we're ready to go, and all we got to do is act on it. And so the law of attraction, in summary, is just what you think about is what you become. Thoughts become your reality. And a lot of people don't think about that, and that's the reason why they're in the situation that they're in. And so we always have to be aware that there's a better life out there. And if you're looking at your life and it's not the way you want it to be, think of the things that you're thinking of. When you go into a situation, are you thinking of that this is going to come out in your favor, or are you just kind of hoping that things don't go too bad? And so when you start to really analyze your thoughts, you'll see where you stand on the law of attraction, and you'll see how the things that are in your life have been there because you've been thinking about them. And a lot of people, here's another good tip before we close. Focus is often on what you do want rather than what you don't want. For example, if you're angry or upset about war, then you want to be pro-peace rather than anti-war. You don't want to focus on war. You want to focus on peace. And that's the same thing we have to do in our business. We want to focus on the things that we want and not the things that we don't want. Oh, I hope they don't say no. We don't want to think about that. We want to focus on all the people who are going to say yes, all the lives that we're going to change, all the people who are going to be set free out of the bondage of their health issues that they've been dealing with, or the poverty that they've been dealing with. We want to make sure that they are moving on to the area that they want to be. Sorry, my son just walked into the room. Hold on a second. Okay, Pastor Denise, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there. I hope that this has blessed somebody. I know that it really blessed me, and I got really excited, started going all over the place, but I hope you understood me. You guys felt my heart on that one. Back to you, Pastor Denise.
No, Nikisha, it really flowed very, very well. You were doing a really good job on, especially the parts where you thought that, oh, no, I went off key there. But no, you really painted a picture, actually, of the different levels of success. And, the different levels of success, not just in success itself, but in the individual. You kind of point out, you kind of help people to see where they are at their level of success. What I mean by that is when you start talking about the goals, actually the law of attraction, actually being able to see what it is that you want to do, knowing that you want to do it and meditating on it, believing in it, and putting it out there, confessing that. But then then you talked about writing goals. How many folks on the call have actually written their goals? And you and I know that there's a lot of folks who have not done it. We know that. You know why we know? Because we used to be that, right? Right, Nikisha?
Mm-hmm.
We used to be the ones who we kept hearing the upline say, write your goals out. What's your goal for this week? What are you going to accomplish this week? How many calls are you going to make today? How many calls are you going to make this week? And we would, we wouldn't answer, but that meant that we really didn't write it out. So we know, even though we kept hearing it over and over and over, we kept hearing it, write your goals, we didn't do it because why? Because we didn't think it was necessary to write it down. We figured that if we already had it in our head, so why write it down? I already know my goal. What's the big deal of writing it out? And I know that you ask yourself that. And then you ask yourself, what difference does it make if I write it out? But then, Nikisha, tell the truth, when we started writing it out, I don't know what it was, but something different took place within, right? Something different took place. And when you wrote that goal out, because what happened when you write it out, you take it from the invisible from one dimension to the next. So now you begin to see it. And then you begin to confess it even more. And then we're going to go ahead with our quote for the day. But Nikisha, one of the things, when you know that you're on the right steps of success, and when did you get to the point, Nikisha, where you were actually able to look in the mirror and literally start coaching yourself?
It took a long time. Yeah, it took a long time because it feels so weird at first. It's just not what we're normally taught to do. But you know what? When me and my kids, we go out on a walk, we always say, I'm healthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wise. And we have this chant that we walk when we walk down the street. I have checks and vision boards of things that I want all around my house. I have Post-its of quotes and things that I wanted to do. And so it just happened after practice, by taking each one of these steps. And maybe I didn't implement them all at once, but, then one day the vision board got up. And then, my index card ended up in my purse with my goals on it. And then checks and notes of things that I wanted ended up on the wall. And then all of a sudden it just became so natural to me to start to speak that way and to think that way that, you know, I find myself correcting other people when they say, oh, well, I hope this happens. I said, well, do you hope or is it going to happen? You know, you got to speak the things that you want. And it just started to become very natural, but it didn't happen overnight. And I think sometimes that's why what we think is that one day I'm going to wake up and all these things that I know I should be doing are just going to immediately show up. And it's like, no, you just take one of them, start working on one of them, perfect them. Take another one, take another one, take another one, and then it will become very natural to you, and it won't seem like it's such a foreign thing. So that's how it happened to me. I can't even tell you what day it did or when it did. It just over time, you look back and you start to say, wow, when I got serious about writing down my goals and when I started living my life with intention and purpose, I started to see changes, not only in the physical, but also in the mental and all other areas of my life. In the spiritual world, you just start to see it. And then you go back and you reread books and you start seeing information that you just weren't open to before. And so then that just starts to cascade itself and cascade itself.
That's so true, Kelly. And I'm telling you, the importance of writing your goals, the information that you're getting from these calls from all the top leaders. And they're telling you the secret to success. And there's really no secret. We know there's no secret, but we call it that. But if you do these things that you've been coached to do, they work. Write your goals. Read books of encouragement to self-development. Get a vision board. Because, see, what this thing is doing, what these things are doing, they're keeping you occupied while God is working to manifest your dream. So he's keeping you busy to keep you out of the way while he's working to manifest your dream. So these things work because you're actually seeing, you're writing out what you want. You're saying it. You're confessing it. The word says, Becca says, write the vision, make it plain, that they will see, will run with it. So these are instructions and steps you have to take. And then all of a sudden, you look up, and it's here. Your day is here. The day is manifesting. You wonder, when in the world did it get here? It's like suddenly you look in your bank account, all of a sudden, your account is just overflowing. You wonder, when did that happen? While you were occupied doing the things that you were instructed to do, while God is being occupied doing the things that he wants to do to manifest your dream, your vision, or your idea. So these principles work. You know why they work? Because they are principles. And principles work. They're in place to work. You can't change them. They work. Now, Coach Nikisha Bond, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for everything you bring to the call every Monday morning. Such an inspiration. Really gets us on fire. And wow, thank you. Now, family, let's transition here. Let's go out to the UK. Dr. Nina Poole with our quote for today. Dr. Poole, are you there?
I am here. My goodness, that was fantastic, Nikisha. Absolutely fantastic. I presume you can hear me, Denise.
Yes, we can. We can. Go right ahead.
Whoa. You know, Nikisha said absolutely fantastic things. You know, the key things that stuck in my mind is claiming. That word claim. You know, I love what Terry says as well. He says, claim back your health. And Nikisha was talking about claim back. You know, it's like an attitude of mind, really. We can claim back our health and our wealth with the TEN phrase, the Team Effort Network Opportunity. And it's a way of life. It's an attitude. Attitude is a way of life. Action is a way of life. Habits are a way of life. And Nikisha's described, she puts out those affirmations and the positive stuff, etc., and the quotes, etc., the notices, the pictures for her children. They are growing up in that kind of environment. So can you imagine the self-development and the belief and the actions that those children are going to go out in? And that just shows you it's all about a way of life. And high achievers, that's how they do it. They get into a state of mind, basically. Achievement is a state of mind, nothing else. It's a state of mind and it's a state of being. It's a state of healthy being and it's a state of wealthy being and it's a state of wealthy mind and healthy mind, basically. Because high achievers look after their health and they look after their mind and they get into a zone. Anthony Robbins often talks about it. He talks about the zone of peak performance. And they literally, before they do anything, they get into that zone. And it's a very calm zone, just as Nikisha was describing. They almost meditate in that zone. But their actions, they produce the right actions because their actions are practiced and practiced and practiced. That's why the income-producing activities are so important, and the daily method of operation, how we conduct ourselves every single day. So if you take this into high achievement, it's about absolutely repetitively doing it and doing it and doing it. Income-producing activities, income-producing activities, income-producing activities with the right state of mind, basically. So, that will just achieve results. Take the sprays, constant income-producing activities, belief in yourself, belief in the company, belief in the product, and the right state of mind. And that's it. You will achieve. There's no way you cannot achieve by doing those things. That's how high achievers actually do it. They do it in sport. They do it in business. They do it in literature. They do it in music. Every single high achiever, that is how they do it. And when you look at people are spending a fortune, on cosmetics, on creams, on health watches, on digital this, that, and the other for their health. Well, why not spend the money on the TEN sprays? These are natural oral sprays, natural drinks that have been proven to help, basically. We don't claim to treat or prevent any particular disorders, but we've got the testimonials. Sadly, in the newspapers, very, very sadly, Robin Williams, the great actor and comedian, died, exactly a year ago. He was found to have a very, very, all pervasive. People knew that he swung in and out of depression, but he also had, they now find, a form of dementia, a form of Alzheimer's. How sad. We've got testimonials that show, literally, we don't claim that it can prevent or cure. However, we've got testimonials of people who couldn't even walk outside with Alzheimer's and dementia, who now they're walking to the stores themselves. They're walking to the church themselves. My uncle actually has Parkinson's. He's been on the D spray, and my aunt reports he's actually going on to a treadmill at home now. His balance has improved that much. He's more confident. He's got less tremor. They are absolutely astounded. So don't take these sprays lightly. Don't take this opportunity lightly. Believe in yourself, believe in the products, believe in the opportunity, and go out there and get the job done. Janet Jackson said, dreams can become a reality when we possess a vision that is characterized by the willingness to work hard, a desire for excellence, and total belief. That's what it's all about. Muhammad Ali, who, achieved great things, said it's the repetition of affirmations that leads to belief. And once that belief becomes a deep conviction, things begin to happen. You can see countless interviews of Muhammad Ali, on the internet. And the thing that stands out about him is he always had belief in himself. He could face the most grueling opponent when he was boxing, but he had his interviews. He had 100% belief in himself, right from young to older, in every single thing that he does. So, what Nikisha was telling you about belief, don't take it mildly. Lydia Child said, belief in oneself is one of the most important bricks in building any successful venture. So believe in yourself, believe in this opportunity, and go out there, get the job done. Back to you, Denise.
Love that, Dr. Poole. Thank you so very much for those quotes. Yes, believe in yourself, because you know what? Without your belief in yourself, you won't believe in your dream. If your dream is not manifested, believe it or not, you're going to keep somebody else's dream from being manifested. So, family, Nikisha Poole.
We're a combo.
Oh, boy. We're just one big family, right?
Yeah, we're the Monday combo.
Okay, so Nikisha, Thank you so very much for bringing us the information on law of attraction and the importance of setting goals. I really hope that you all heard the importance of writing out your goal. And for those who, year after year, you've been with Team Intra Network from the very beginning, you've heard Vicky Soto, Denise Moore, Dwight Washington, Pastor Del Waver, Paul Jackson, Robert Smith, Jesse Bowden. You've heard the great Shakina and Christy. You've heard them talk about the importance of writing out your goals. I hope today you heard a little different, and that you will take that step of faith and write it out. Just write them out. Write them out daily and look at them, and then just watch God do what He do. You do, like you said, you take one step, they'll take two. But you got to do it. You have to take action. You have to take action. Thank you again, Coach Nikisha. Let's not forget, family, if you have not registered for the East Coast Regional, we are getting excited about the East Coast Regional. It's going to take place on Saturday, March the 26th. Tickets are just $20. Guests are free. If you want to grow your business, you want to have your guests in the house. If you want to grow you need to be in the house, because we're going to do some phenomenal training. We're going to put some tools in your box that's going to grow your business out of the rooftop. And all the great leaders that you hear on this call are going to be in the house that day. Coach Nikisha Bond, Shakina Day, Chris Day, Vicky Soto, Denise Moore, Dwight Washington, Pastor Del Wafer, Paul Jackson, Robert Smith, Jesse Bowden, Maureen Murphy Smith. All the great leaders are going to be. And I keep forgetting, John Joseph. Come on, family. John Joseph is coming in from California. Wow. So you guys want to be here for that event. Saturday, March 26th. Again, you can purchase your ticket online at www.vitaminspraysnow.com. And remember, guests are free. We do not charge for the guests. So get your guests in the house so they can see the great mission that you're on and changing people's lives about. Vitamin Sprays is not going to only help them, but it's going to help their families and their loved ones as well. So with that said, family, it's been a great call. Please take what you've heard and run with it. Don't forget, be back with us tomorrow morning. Get off this call, get out there, tell someone the great things you heard today. Join us back tomorrow morning as we continue to press towards the 50 million that we know is going to manifest in Team Effort Network this year. I believe we're going to go beyond 50 million. But the question is, how much of that's going to be in your back office? It's up to you, family. Get to those big events and make it happen. Love you, family. Don't forget to join the Spanish call. Join Maria. She's going to be on at 9:10 a.m. Pacific time this morning. Get your Spanish speaking guests on so they can participate in what's happening here at Team Effort Network. But just get on and say hello to Maria and the Spanish team. They would love to hear your voice. Love you, family. God bless you all. Have a prosperous day. Get out there, write that goal down. Write it out. Make it happen. Love you. See you tomorrow morning. God bless you all. Mwah.